Hey guys. So I decided I'm going to start off this recording in a completely different way than I ever have before. By talking about how freaked out I am. I know. So new, so different. Times they really are changing at the Cellar Letters podcast. I am really freaked out. Seeing those pictures, it's like a weird sense of deja vu or something. I remember that wedding. Jess and I showed up a couple nights early and kind of made this little vacation out of it. I forget the town's name, but it was this beautiful little place in Connecticut. We actually managed to fit a few dates in before the wedding. I remember we went to this really cool aquarium and spent maybe 3 hours just hanging out around the penguins. Honestly, she probably would have stayed there all day and all night if I didn't tell her I was starving to death. I'm kind of a little bit of a baby when it comes to being hungry. I'm a growing boy. Can't help it. What was that place called? M something. Mythic? Mystery? Oh, stupid. Okay, give me a second. This is going to drive me crazy. M. Aquarium. Connecticut. Mystic. Okay. Problem solved. I'm sure all of you are waiting with bated breath for that little bit of info that doesn't matter to you in the slightest. You are welcome. That was such a fun day. The next day, I think we got some lobster rolls at some small hole-in-the-wall restaurant on the coast and then just walked on the beach. It was the perfect day. And then after that, it was wedding time. It was at this quaint little hotel in the garden. Now, my friends and I always knew that Gary and this girl were going to get married. I don't mean this in an insulting way at all, but they're both, how do I say this? Incredibly lame. Like, I'm pretty sure to this day they still find a couple hours every night to sit down and play Dota 2 together. I don't get it. Game is dumb. Can't get into it, but weird. Back to the wedding. The ceremony was something special. There wasn't a dry eye in the house. Most people were emotional over his new wife's vows, which somehow managed to pull on people's heartstrings while mentioning their extreme gaming habits. And I was just standing up there, getting all misty-eyed, imagining Jess up here with me in the future. It was something I was so sure would happen someday. Oh, God. And the reception. I don't think I've ever had that much to drink in my entire life. Oh, pro tip. If anyone ever asks you, hey, do you want a shot of this Kraken? You smack it out of their hands and you tell them to go fuck themselves. Do not do that. It's not worth it. You're going to hate yourself. God, that stuff really messed me up the next day. But that night was absolutely incredible. I spent most of it reminiscing with my best friends about the good old days and dancing with Jess. That was the last night. That must have been one. My point is, I remember that wedding. I remember taking and being in plenty of photos that night. I don't know who that is, and I have no idea who sent these to me. It's unsettling. I'm pretty damn far from settled. shouldn't have accepted that request. All it brought me was some scary questions and some bittersweet memories that I'd rather not talk about on a fucking podcast for like 5 listeners. Anyway, I'm sure you all would rather hear one of those damn letters than more about my trauma. Please send all your trauma inquiries to the Cellar Letters at gmail.com. Please don't actually do that. I don't know why I said that. And I have no idea how to delete that. So, don't do that. Thank you. I'm just gonna stop making jokes and read the letter. This one is from 203 Sycamore Drive. It's been about 3 weeks since I wrote you last. Things in my house have felt weird ever since I heard those weird scratching sounds coming from the attic. Wait a second. Sounds from the attic. 203 Sycamore Ave. Give me a sec. Okay, I knew the address sounded familiar. 203 Sycamore Ave. I read this guy's first letter months ago. SparkNote's version is he came home from the store with food for his daughter and her friends, or something, and he heard some loud noises coming from the attic. He assumed it was just the kids being loud, so he went up there and yelled at them to keep it down. When he got back downstairs, the girls were there just eating pizza or something, and they had no idea what he was talking about. Weird stuff. It was exciting. I didn't know people sent multiple letters in. Weird. Things in my house have felt weird ever since I heard those weird scratching sounds coming from the attic. After that night, my daughter asked to have the same group of friends over for 6 nights in a row. Whenever they would come over, they would just say a quick hello to me and then rush to the basement. At the time, I had no idea what was going on. On the 6th night, all of the girls ran up the stairs screaming and immediately left the house and called their parents to come pick them up. I tried to talk to them to see what was wrong, but they wouldn't talk to me. My daughter never came up with them. I went downstairs to check on her, and I found her sitting on the couch in front of what must have freaked her friends out so much. They had made a Ouija board out of an old cardboard box and a Sharpie. Smart. They must have watched a YouTube video or something on how to make one. One of them probably moved the pointer just to spook the other girls. My daughter told me that she was just trying to talk to her mom. Just hearing that nearly broke me. Her mother passed away a few months back. She took her own life. Emily isn't taking it well. She's been understandably in a state of depression ever since that happened. I've been trying to get her to see a therapist, but she refuses to go. She's worried that her friends would make fun of her. Poor girl. That's a disgustingly harmful stigma that we as a culture need to erase. Okay, if you're one of the 5 listeners of this podcast and you need to talk to someone, therapy is good. There's nothing shameful in asking for help. In fact, asking for help is incredibly brave, and you should be proud of yourself. Her friends, she told me, were the only thing making her feel okay. It's been a few days since that night, and I don't think she has talked to any of them. A few days after the event, I began experiencing things again. Except this time, it wasn't scratching. You know that feeling you get when you're being watched? It was that. Every night in my own home. I just had a constant feeling of unease. It all came to a head last night. My daughter woke me up at 3 a.m. standing at the foot of my bed. She told me she couldn't sleep. Mommy was being too loud. Something is going on here. My daughter needs help, and as a father, I don't know what my next step is. I think she just needs to get out of this house, even for a weekend or something. There's this camping spot up in Prentice we used to go with her mother. She used to love that place. Maybe I'll take her there. If you have any advice or anything to help with my situation, please respond. Thank you. Prentice, where have I heard that name? Prentice Woods, that's where that body was found. Wait. No. Where's this address? 203 Sycamore Ave. It's in Bangor. Right near Prentice Woods. This can't be the same guy. This can't. Fuck. What happened to him? Who could do that? What could do that? What happened to his daughter? What is in those woods?